Welcome to another episode of Let's Talk About Magnum PI. I am Eve.
And I'm Liz.
And we're here to talk to you about a show that's recently been cancelled.
Again.
Again. Yeah, the fun part about it is being able to say again. I mean, not every show can say again about being cancelled.
That is true.
I thought I muted my phone. I'm sorry. Now it is. Also, shout out, hi, Laura. So we're here to talk about a topic, which is not the SAG strike. But maybe we'll talk about that a little bit later.
Maybe.
A little bit. We're here to talk about the core, well, one of the cores of Magnum PI, which is the cases.
As we know, there's always one. Well, pretty much always one.
There's always one. When is there not one?
Oh, well, actually, I thought about this as soon as I said it, but in 5-10, there wasn't really a case, so to speak.
What do you call finding Rick?
I call that saving a friend. I don't call that taking a case.
Literally police involved, for them it's a case.
Debatable.
Also, it's like the resolution of Magnum's 10-episode long case with Captain Green's, attacker.
True.
That is a case in itself, so it's a case. Sorry. It's a case. It's one of the weaker ones, in my opinion.
Me too.
And again, there are some very weak cases in Magnum PI. Yes. Luckily, they have the second core of the show, which is the characters.
Mm-hmm.
Without them, the way the cases are sometimes really weak, would stand out even more.
Than they do, yeah.
Someone's licking my toe. I will cut this up, but have a free blooper. Someone's licking my toe. Can you stop?
He needs to be put in doggy jail.
Doggy jail is usually air jail, so I would just sit here with a dog over my head.
Exactly.
Which I wouldn't recommend. At least not for a podcast. So, we were looking at a few cases. Mm-hmm. We're also going to be talking about cases that we kind of wanted for the show that I don't think we're getting in the next 10 episodes, and probably the last 10 episodes. And about how the cases would hold up in actual court.
Yeah. And to see if Magnum being involved would screw something up.
It would. In a lot of cases.
Spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert. It would not look good sometimes. Do you want to start actually? Because I have one of my major big issues with one of Magnum's love interests is actually involved with cases.
I know exactly what you're going to
You know exactly what I mean. It is Abby.
Yeah.
I am very miffed about Abby, and I'm very miffed about the fact that a lot of fans keep pointing out how unethical it is for Ethan to date Higgy after he handed her over to a different doctor. Meanwhile, what Abby did is extremely unethical too. Yeah. Let's just point that out. What Abby did is extremely unethical and dangerous in a lot of cases. So, to look back, what Abby did is she, as a defendant? No, the defendant is the guy
defense attorney.
Thank you. Defense attorney had a private investigator investigate against her defendant.
Yeah. Against
her own client. This is extremely not okay. Extremely not okay for a couple of reasons. Completely against code. Pretty sure it's also illegal. She can get disbarred for that with right.
Didn't she get disbarred? Didn't in the end?
She did. She had to.
In the state of Hawaii, she got disbarred.
Yeah, she had to go to California to practice, and I think it's perfectly okay to do that because there are regulations for a reason. Mm-hmm. And one of these regulations is, as a defender, defense attorney, you have to act in your client's interest.
Yeah.
Even if you believe he did it, plenty of public defenders have to defend assholes.
And people that they believe actually did do the crime.
Yeah, Chris Watts had a defense attorney. This word is apparently really hard for me. I am sorry. But, Chris Watts had one. Why am I blanking on names? Like, I'm binging so many true crime podcasts, but I'm blanking on names right now.
They're all mixing together.
Every single accused has a right to an attorney.
Yes.
It's part of the Miranda rights for a reason. Yes. This attorney cannot
stab you in the back.
Not stab you in the back and go and, look for evidence that you did it. It's literally the opposite of what they're there for. If there is something that they discover in discovery, they have to disclose it, obviously, but they can't exactly go in and search for incriminating evidence, which is what Abby had done.
Yeah.
One of the reasons why it's so incredibly shady for this is her defendant can now say he had ineffective counsel.
Get a second trial.
And not just him.
Yeah.
That is the issue. Not just him. Every single one before that could point at this case and be like, yo, if she did that there, who gets to say she didn't do that with me?
And then lots of trouble.
Can someone check out my case? Some of them can go to a second trial. Again. They can, grounds for appeal is ineffective counsel.
Yeah.
A lot of them now have the option to say I had ineffective counsel with Abby. And in some cases, pretty sure one or two assholes would then walk free.
Yeah, I think the sheer number of people that she defended would lead to some of them getting acquitted.
Yeah. Without a doubt.
Just mathematically speaking.
Yeah, which is not cool.
No.
I mean, if it was someone who's accused despite not having done it, I would be cool with it. But we don't know that.
Yeah, we have no idea.
So yeah, that is one of my major issues with cases, which I kind of love about the show, that they showed that. But they never dug deep into what this could actually mean.
That's true. They just kind of shipped her off and...
Yeah. It was a way to get rid of Abby.
Yeah.
Instead of being... They would have been able to show why this is an issue in the justice system, especially. They had a lot of opportunities to show a few issues about the justice system, actually, and they didn't.
Yeah.
Which is why we're here discussing it.
They did one time in 301 with Double Jeopardy.
Twice, actually.
In Double Jeopardy?
No, there was another time where they pointed out a flaw in the justice system.
Yeah, I'm only thinking of that one right now. And they're like, the only reason that this guy, got arrested and is going to trial again is because he shot Higgy, because he can't go. It was
she woman, actually. It was
it was a woman. Yeah. She can't be tried 2 times for the same crime,
which is not exactly an issue. So, yes, she cannot be tried a second time for the same crime in the same court system. Historically speaking, there has been a real life case, where someone was tried and acquitted in the normal criminal court system in America, but the poor sod had the misfortune of being a military. Duke was actually court-martialed for the murder of his wife.
There you go.
Which is highly unusual, but even if you're acquitted in the criminal justice system, you can still be taken to civil court. So technically, they could have taken her to civil court over the murder of her husband, which wouldn't have gotten her jail time because she already had jail time for that.
Yeah.
You can serve for the same crime twice, but she could have gotten a fine for it.
Yeah.
Now she's serving for
shooting Higgy.
Yeah. Gotta hydrate in between.
There you go.
There you go. The other time where they highlighted part of the justice system was in 504. And you're blanking.
Gotta think back.
The father taking the fall for the daughter.
Oh, yes. Now I remember. Yeah. Yeah.
Because even though Higgy and Thomas know that it wasn't the father, they can't prove it.
So the daughter walks free and the father goes to jail.
Yeah, especially since the father made a false confession.
Mm.
There is absolutely no way that the testimony of a PI counts more than a confession.
No.
Absolutely no
not.
way. And false confessions happen all the time for different kinds of reasons, but in this case, we completely missed the point of the justice system.
Mm-hmm.
Because the justice system isn't always, especially not in America, should be there to rehabilitate.
Yeah.
To make sure that a person isn't danger for society any longer. Mm-hmm. If the wrong person goes to jail, that kind of goes out the window.
Yeah, because obviously they can't be rehabilitated if the wrong person is there.
Yeah, and depending on the ones committing the crimes, that is dangerous in itself, because what if we saw the start of a serial killer?
Exactly.
What if she has a personality disorder that actually makes her an actual serial killer? And she gave those vibes. Like, kid did not seem to have any remorse at all.
No, she did not care.
Yeah, so, yeah, we might have a serial killer on the loose on Oahu. Great.
Potentially.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's the thing. And Higgy and Thomas know it. It cannot really do anything about it.
Nope, they are stuck.
Fun. Another thing that was highlighted in that episode was how much pressure is on police officers that they kind of just want to, get someone behind bars, close the case, and be done with it. Shows that the justice system isn't exactly flawless, and that police officers, they're stuck with so much.
Well, yeah, and also like the fact that they have the sentence closure rate, right?
Yeah.
Like cops have closure rates, it's basically like a battle of how much crime you can solve.
In some departments, and that is the weirdest shit, in some departments, people get the cold cases as punishment. Not to go like, oh, another fresh set of eyes might uncover new clues. No, you're getting punished. You're now getting stuck with the cold cases. The fuck?
Yeah.
And I gotta hold it to these officers. Some of them really dig deep, and some of them actually solve a couple of cold cases, which is amazing.
When it happens, yeah, it's insane.
Yeah. Like, good on these officers. Sometimes they're getting punished for actually stupid reasons. Like, let's be real. Some police departments are corrupt as shit. And sometimes it's a good cop that actually gets stuck with the punishments.
Yeah. But then they actually do some good.
Yeah. Yeah. And it can be really amazing when cold cases suddenly get a second wind, just like we've seen this year with the Delphi murders.
Delphi murders?
Ooh. I don't know if you've seen it, if you've heard about it. So there were two girls that went on a little hike, and they found their bodies close to a bridge, and they also found their phone, and on the phone they saw a man. They saw a video of a man. These girls had the good sense to video it. Saw the video of a man talking to the girls. And not far from that, their bodies were found, and it was a cold case for so long because they couldn't identify the man. And this year, or in December, they arrested someone, and this year very early January, they came forward publish the charges against him and so on. So suddenly, out of seemingly nowhere, because someone looked at the cold case and kept it in the back of his mind for ages.
Yeah.
There's a second wind, and it looks to actually get solved. Just pretty fucking amazing.
Yeah, it's insane.
There also was a case. There was a case where they found, after years of searching for someone's wife, they found her body close to the house where they lived, but she only died 3 months before. You're confused, right?
I mean,
how could she be missing for years but only have died 3 months before?
I mean, he held her captive. He hid her. He
kind of. So he actually killed her when she went missing.
Right.
But he also stuck her in a freezer for years.
Oh, there you go.
So when he moved out, he dumped her body, and 3 months later it was found. That's how it seemed like she was actually dead for 3 months, because decomposition said she was dead for 3 months, but
right.
She was dead way before that.
Yeah.
Which brings us to, let's talk about evidence. Evidence and Magnum's involvement in cases. What do you think? Let me know.
Dude tampers with so much evidence.
The guy actually risks being a suspect like half the time.
So weird. He did it in the pilot, for God's sake.
He did. And I don't know why he trusts HPD so much. I mean, Katsumoto, yes.
Yes.
Tanaka?
Yeah. God, Tanaka.
Why? He trusts an HPD so much that they won't arrest him. I'm sorry if it happens so often. And if there's a clear MO, like if you were after a serial killer and your prints are all over all the fucking crime scenes, you will end up being a suspect.
Yeah, and they're always just like, he's not a suspect. He's not a suspect. He's not a suspect. Except for the one time that he was in 6 paintings, 1 frame. When he...
Yeah, but that was early times. That was really early times and an active frame job.
Yeah. But that was pretty, yeah. Dude tampers with evidence way too much to not get in serious trouble.
Yeah, and it's actually the tampering of evidence that really bugs me sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
Because, if a PI tampers with evidence, the evidence that he found
is no good.
That he didn't, handle correctly could be thrown out in court.
Could we talk about the fingernail too in 501 in the car? When he found, I was like, he just freaking picked it up and was like,
that's not the only evidence that he just randomly picks up though.
Exactly, it's just one that came to my mind. It's definitely not the only evidence.
But in this case, that's not the worst part, because that's not a bad part, because the victim is actually alive. One of the victims is actually alive, so she can testify to what happened.
Yeah, but still, he's tampering with evidence.
He's tampering with evidence, but the evidence that there wasn't actually evidence that proved in any case that the husband killed the guy, killed the doctor. So it's not the biggest issue. But no, the guy walks onto a crime scene, doesn't use gloves, doesn't put evidence in bags to preserve the situation. Sometimes doesn't even call HPD.
And it's hilarious because we know that they know, because in that one where they stay in the hotel and the reporter gets murdered, at one point when Higgy's processing the crime scene, she's got the gloves on, and Katsumoto's like, "You came onto a crime scene?" And she's like, "Don't worry, detective, I wore gloves. This isn't my first rodeo."
Except they don't often do that.
Exactly. So it's hilarious to me that they clearly know what they are supposed to do, and they just don't.
For some reason, they don't. And the issue with that is easily if evidence is tampered with, if it can be proven, especially by a defense attorney, that is not Abby, let's be real, they can get it thrown out under certain circumstances. And if all that points to a culprit, whether it's the right one or the wrong one, is circumstantial evidence, which is evidence in itself, that could actually give the jury reasonable doubt to say, I cannot say beyond a reasonable doubt that he did it, so I'm not going to convict him.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Evidence
In
is
some
messy.
cases, that could get actually really bad.
Yeah.
And talking about jury, Magnum, why do you not want to serve on a jury? Really? Because
yeah.
I have to prove to myself that that happened. Dude, that's literally the entire job of jury. You have to prove to yourself that it happened. Or if there's any doubt left, well, don't.
Yeah. And it backfired because then he had to take the case.
Did he actually handle the evidence correctly in that one?
I'm trying to remember.
See?
I remember the episode, I remember the case, I remember the resolution. I love that episode actually because it's got one of my favorite ever fight scenes, but
I actually have to say there is a shocking amount of cases that I completely straight up forgot.
I like this one. This is the one where the kid is accused of killing his girlfriend.
Yeah, I know which case it is, but don't ask me for details with that one because it's one of those that that just doesn't stick to my brain. Ever.
I watched that episode a couple times because Higgy has the most epic fight scene in that unbuilt tower when Magnum is getting shot at. And he's like, I hear this. She's like, you hear the shot? She's like, I'm not dead.
It's in the episode where we first her and see Leah's dad.
Yes.
Fun fact, Leah from season 4, her dad was in season 1.
Yes.
Which, like, everybody's gonna miss because who remembers a character we've seen for 10 seconds
It's
3
true.
seasons later?
It literally was like 10 seconds.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
But
I love that. I love the fight scene in that episode. That's the part of the episode I like.
But I think what really stands out for me with cases on Magnum PI is that the only cases that really stick to my memory are the ones that actually affect the main characters. So, Blood in the Water, Day of the Viper, The Day the Past Came Back, and so on. If it affects a main character, I will remember it. But if it doesn't affect the main character, 9 out of 10 times I will barely remember anything about the case. Unless it infuriates me, like Abby's.
Yeah. Day of the Viper, that's another one of my favorite episodes.
Same, which is, oh my god, let's not talk about how there's like no evidence collected. To this day, I'm like, how based on what will you actually convict the guy? Half of the evidence was acquired illegally.
Yeah.
And how do you bring justice to the guy when
and he's an MI6
would be...
and he's an MI6 super spy, so
yeah, but like half of the case is acquired illegally. They would have to admit to illegal activities to get it.
I mean, I don't think they have to admit to it. They full on got caught.
Yeah, but if they want to use the evidence that they collected against him, they got caught, but it didn't reflect back to him. But in any case, yeah.
I mean, we don't even know what happened. Like, we don't know if he got turned over to MI6. We don't know if he went with HPD, like
CIA, like the other MI6 people.
We have no idea.
It should have been CIA though.
Probably, and then they probably would have handed him over to MI6 to deal with.
Yeah. I love how we're literally throughout this show and Hawaii Five-O, we flip-flop between CIA being good guys and bad guys.
Yeah, all the time.
It's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So in this episode, they're the good guys, and in the season 4 episode, they're the good guys, but in season 2, they're the bad guys.
Which part of season 2?
It's actually 5-0.
10,
10, 12, 5-0, they're the back. No, actually 212, 5-0. No, not 212. 212 Magnum PI, they're the bad guys because they hold McGarrett
yeah.
and Danny and Grover and interrogate them because of what's on that knock list.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they're the bad guys in there.
Yeah.
To remind me, I have to rewatch 5-0 again.
Yeah, I've been watching it here and there.
Been a while. I've actually started watching the original.
Oh,
not
really?
5-0 Magnum, because they started airing it last week, and holy crap, that's a whole different show.
Yeah, it is.
Which is good, in my opinion, because ours is, very in touch with today.
Yeah. There are some things that I can tell that they took from the original and then like put a modern spin on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, like Blood in the Water.
Yeah.
There's something somewhat similar in the original Magnum PI.
I learned recently from Laura, my friend, that the original had bottle episodes.
What does that mean?
Bottle episodes are basically when you lock a bunch of characters in a place and they can't get out. Situation-ish. We basically have a very condensed set situation. Like if Game of Clues situation where you have a party at the nest and someone gets murdered and they have to solve it within that frame.
Yes, I've actually seen it. I can think of one, actually. Yes, I can.
Yeah. I kind of wanted that for ours.
Yeah.
That would
I can actually think of an episode.
And I know Laura wanted one too, and I'm so sorry. I want one too.
I want
also,
it so
again,
much.
Shout out to you. Hi.
Yeah, there's so much that I wanted to see.
Yeah.
So much.
What did you want to see? Let's talk about that for a second.
I'm gonna say it, but Higgy backstory.
I could go into a whole full-on rage about that.
I wanted to see that. I wanted to see how I wanted to see the boys escape the POW camp.
Magnum backstory.
Yeah. We've got a little bit. We got a little bit,
barely anything. I'm sorry, you got more. We got more backstory on Rick.
True.
Than on Magnum and Higgy.
I wanted to see. Higgy. Like, I wanted to see how Higgy knows Robin. Again, more Higgy backstory, but like specifically that. I wanted to see their wedding day. And a proposal.
We don't know if the proposal doesn't happen.
True, we don't.
We kind of did see one, and we, thanks to that, now know that Higgy would say yes in a heartbeat. Yeah. So maybe.
I wanted to see Higgy get introduced to Uncle Bernardo.
Yeah.
I would have loved to have seen. Well, she already got introduced to Uncle Bernardo, but like.
Okay, but we still got 10 episodes. We don't know if that doesn't happen.
True.
Even though it doesn't look like the guy was on Oahu in that time frame.
So, I would love to see. I don't know. I've got a bunch of other wish. What do you wish to see?
Or wish to have seen? Magnum backstory is a big one, which kind of makes me a little bit angry now that we only got 10 episodes left, because we had 20 episodes to rectify some of the stuff that we were missing out in the first 4 seasons. But also, why did we never get that in the first 4 seasons? I know that the lack of story turned out to be Magnum's story with 418, which is in itself great and genius and unexpected, but Still, you could have given the guy more backstory.
Mm-hmm.
Like, nothing against Rick's backstory. Would have loved it if the two leads actually got the same amount of backstory.
Yeah.
That's my major issue with the backstory. Like, it's imbalanced. Rick got so much more than Magnum and Higgins. Why didn't Magnum and Higgins get the same amount?
Yeah.
And TC.
Yeah. It's crazy.
Like, even Kumo got tons of backstory.
It's true, she did.
And nothing with Magnum and Higgins. And I'm sorry to be so fucking blunt, but no show is guaranteed a run of 5 seasons.
Mm-hmm.
Why do you not constantly spread some backstory in?
Yeah.
And by not constantly, I don't mean every episode. I mean
But like once a season.
an episode a season, 2 episodes a season. Dedicate an episode a season to one character.
Mm-hmm.
Or their backstory. Or something very interesting happening to them. If I remember correctly, there was like no backstory in season 3. See, you don't remember anything either on the top of your head.
Yeah, not off the top of my head.
I mean, yeah, sure. It was more difficult because that was the number 1 COVID season.
Yeah, and a shorter season. And
yeah, but also you could have sprinkled some in. Doesn't mean you have to dedicate an entire episode to it.
Yeah, I'm thinking.
That would have been also one of the seasons where you could have sprinkled some of Magnum's PTSD about being followed in.
Mm-hmm.
Make it a flashback to how they escaped. Make him worry about being followed by the
person.
Yeah, by the person who tried to get them back to POW camp. There were opportunities that just weren't taken.
Yeah, and I mean, yeah, there was even like when Higgy was like, yeah, I've been shot before in Marrakesh. Like, that could have been worked in somehow.
It could have been the moment she met Robin.
Yep.
Or a drop-by comment about the book that was released in season 4.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh, that's when I met Robin.
Mm-hmm.
In reality.
Mm-hmm.
There were opportunities, and that's one of the things that I'm a little bit salty about.
Yeah.
Because we only have 10 episodes to go, and I don't think we'll get much backstory on either of the main characters.
No, I don't think so either.
Yeah. That's a complete loss. Things I would have loved to see. More backstory. And that's basically just it, because I'm not so hung up on these domestic moments. We got a ton of them. We're getting a ton of them. It's fine. You know, the main story arc between Miggy was getting together for 4 seasons, and now they're slowing it down. I think they're slowing it down to not start, making them boring.
I think that they've kept the same pace.
Yeah, but they balanced it out.
Yeah.
Didn't give us Miggy every episode, which is exactly
and that's
what
why
we needed.
like that's why I didn't need a proposal like this season, but if we had gotten another 2,
again, we don't know if we don't get one.
Yeah.
But I think have no faith in it anymore.
I'm losing faith quite quickly, yeah. Because it's like, we got saved once, the chances of getting saved twice is like,
again, there could be a proposal hidden in 520. We don't know that yet.
Yeah. Again, no hope.
But I think we're wrapping it up here, right?
Yeah, I think so.
At least with the Magnum talk. Let's talk about the strike for a second.
SAG.
So, not just the WGA is striking, SAG-AFTRA is striking too, which has a few impacts on us fans, because now the cast and crew members who are SAG-AFTRA members cannot do anything to promote a movie or a TV show. That includes social media posts.
Mm-hmm.
That includes podcast interviews, by the way. So there's no way any of them that are in SAG are coming onto the podcast in this time frame to talk about Magnum PI. which is basically considered promo, which is fine. I mean, we're not screwing them over, but in this time frame, they cannot make any, social media posts about the show, cannot promote it in any way. They couldn't join a fan event. So if NBC was to air season 5B soon, there wouldn't even be a promo tour.
Yeah.
There would be no interviews. There would
no Sunset on the Beach.
Certainly be no Sunset on the Beach or other fan events like in Los Angeles, whatever they wanted to plan, if they wanted to plan any of that. And they can't even like some of our social media posts in cases, so it's getting really quiet with the cast and crew right now. And that's okay. We have to respect the fact that, interacting with a safe campaign right now could get them into trouble. And that is the last thing we want for them, right?
Exactly, yeah. We don't want to get them in trouble.
So we're facing quiet time. Also, right now, there is no way NBC can save the show. They can't make contacts with the cast, some of the crew. So if you want to take a break right now, I'm not judging you. Because right now there is nothing we can do, nothing we can achieve. We can still tweet and do the other stuff, but it won't achieve anything at this point.
Yeah.
Except for maybe, keeping the war up. But after the strike, our war is a little bit more effective.
Yeah.
Because they can actually do something about that.
Yeah, which obviously they can't do now.
We're not stopping. As you probably can see on Twitter, there's still tweeting, there's still tweet parties, we're doing quizzes and stuff. But with the reality of things not being able to be moved right now, keep it in mind, and especially keep the silence in mind. And if you need a break to recharge for 5B, go ahead. No judgment.
Yeah.
But at the very latest, we will see you back for 5B, I hope. And still on here, because if anything, we'll talk about what's happening in the fandom right now.
That's true, we will.
Speaking of what's happening in the fandom, what happened to your DVDs?
It's worse. Oh, I'm still so sad. So on Thursday, we had like tornadoes and everything in Montreal.
Tornadoes. It's so mind-boggling to me, tornadoes in Canada.
Yeah. And like my phone, we have this thing in Quebec. I don't know if it's across Canada, but when there's like an amber alert or if there's like severe weather, we get messages like these big like messages on our phones, and our phones go like we're. So
that happens in Hawaii too.
Yeah,
they scared the shit out of me.
Yeah. So, and it happens at the same time for every phone. Doesn't matter who you're with, like which carrier, whatever. Anyways, so all day Thursday, I was working the late shift at work. And I actually drove through the rain at one point on my lunch hour, but we kept getting these like tornado warnings. They're like, Environment Canada has issued a tornado warning in your area. Stay clear of weather. Anyways, so we were watching it from the branch. We were like, it wasn't very busy because people weren't really coming in. And then it kind of cleared up. So by the time 8:00 came, I came home, and my neighbor, who literally moved the next day, was like, "You missed all the excitement." I'm like, "Well, what do you mean?" He's like, "Your basement flooded, our basement flooded, across the street flooded, like the whole block, all the basements flooded, and all my DVDs were down there, including my Magnum DVDs." So I came home, and like my Magnum DVDs were like sitting in a puddle of like this much water. So the DVD cases are ruined. They're drying out now. I'm hoping they're gonna work. I'm not sure, but I like when I picked them up, there was like water pouring out of the case. So yeah,
they might work again when they're dry.
So all my Magnum DVDs, all my Lost DVDs, all my Good Wife DVDs, all the shows that like I actually really like, that I actually like spent the money on buying all the DVDs for over the years. Yeah. So that was my biggest thing. I was like, okay, there are other things that were like submerged in the water that are like no good either. But I was like buy Magnum DVDs. Like I was
Okay, but
literally
they
almost
might actually work again.
I hope so, because like I tried them like one time already and they didn't. So I'm hoping that like giving them a couple more days
Yeah.
is gonna do that.
I usually
But
put stuff into cat litter to dry it out.
smart idea. I didn't think about that.
Yeah,
And
this is the single reason why I have cat litter in my house. Obviously, I don't have a cat,
yeah, I don't have a cat,
but
so I
I'm
don't have
notoriously fucking clumsy, so I have cat litter.
So that's what happened to my DVDs.
And also in winter, I store cat litter in my car.
Why?
It dries out moisture from the air and stops
Ice on the inside. Oh, smart.
Exactly, cat litter in the car. Stops ice from the inside.
I might start doing that.
I mean, a bag of rice works too, but cat litter is slightly more convenient.
Yeah, just a little bit.
Yeah. A little bit.
Just a wee bit.
Yeah. Someone's bored of us. Oh, big stretch. I love when he does the big stretch. Okay, so before we get any more off topic, this is it for today. Thank you for listening. See you next time. Still not with anyone from cast and crew for reasons that we just explained, but we'll still be here. Maybe someone else will be here.
Join us, yeah.
We'll see. Join us or not.
We'll see.
We'll see. Bye.
Bye.